Esav, and 20 years later running away from Lavan, we're going to learn about Binyan Beit Yaakov, the building of Yaakov's house, which will be a very complex house with 4 women. Usually one is enough, but he's going to have 4. And we're going to see and learn about that. We learned that in order for him to go ahead and begin building the house of Israel, he needed to get a lot of chizuk, a lot of strengthening. As we mentioned yesterday, he was in the Beit Midrash of Shem and Aver for the period of 14 years. Helps account for a lack of knowledge where he was between the age of 63 and the age of 77. So right now, we understand that with this prophetic promise from Hashem with 5 promises in Beit El, he's now armed, he's now suited with a lot of trust in God, with a lot of faith in Hashem. And everyone read out loud the first pasuk, pasuk Aleph, and tell me what you see.
וייסע יעקב רגליו וילך ארצה מנגד.
Yeshayahu, I think in chapter 40 is that, says, V'koyei Hashem yachlifu choach. Koyei from the word tikva. Those that have hope, faith, trust in Hashem, it says yachlifu choach. It's not an easy pasuk to understand. The Ramban, Nachmanides, brings this pasuk to teach us a very important principle of our faith in the God of Israel. Now, it doesn't say that someone that has faith in Hashem, Hashem energizes him. Hashem gives him the koach. Okay? But rather it's saying, V'koyei Hashem, those that have faith in God, and even though they're tired, they themselves be able to energize their strength. What is the pshat here? What is the meaning? If you make an effort to find that strength, to find those energies, the courage, through your spiritual strength, through your trust in God, through your faith in Hashem, then you know what? Hashem is going to aid you, that you're going to energize yourself. You're going to be able to find those powers to overcome the difficulties. Yaakov Avinu, it says in 3 words, Vayisa Yaakov Raglav. When you literally translate the Chumash, which we're not allowed to do, and it says Yaakov lifted up his feet. Now everyone with all his movie picture watching is now imagining, well, what did he do? He lifted up his feet and then he ran like Hollywood makes him run. What's going on? And then it says, Vayelech Artza v'nei Kedem. We know Kedem is the? Southeast. Correct, it's the east. Be careful what you say here. Right? It's the east. And we know that Haran is east, northeast of Eretz Yisrael, the tip somewhere between Turkey and Iraq and so on and so forth. It's a few hundred kilometers, and now Yaakov has arrived. Wow. I would have thought the Torah will share with us, get a week vacation, take off, put his feet up, throw out his sneakers and look for a new pair. Okay? But we don't see that. We see that he's uplifted. He lifted up his feet, which of course is a metaphor. A metaphor that Yaakov Avinu has showed a tremendous appearance of spiritual strength. Where did it come from? What did it nurture from?
From the blessings of his heart.
His great faith in Hashem that was now strengthened. Aleph, 14 years of study in the Beit Midrash of Shem and Aver, and now in Beit El with the dream of Sulam Yaakov, the ladder of Yaakov, God on top of the ladder, seeing angels and receiving 5 promises. That now makes it less difficult to travel so far away. Okay? All of us can tap onto this point. All of us are on a journey in life. All of us have come from far, both geographically and spiritually. And the journey is only at the beginning. Okay? We have a lot to go. We have a lot to climb. We have a lot to go further. And there are many times in the course of our life, both when we're single and certainly when we're married, that we have to tap on to this faith that we have to energize ourselves, to get the greater energy, courage, strength to go forward. And that's what Yeshayahu says, V'koyei Hashem, those that have tikva, hope, faith in God, Yachlifu koch, God will allow them to re-energize, to find that strength, those powers, the energies to meet up with difficulties, to struggle with various encounters, people, times, eras, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen to Yaakov Avinu. Pasuk bet Vayar, v'hinei, surprise. Ve'er basadeh. I don't know what the surprise is yet. Or maybe you do. V'hinei sham, and there's another surprise. Shlosha edrei tzon, 3 flocks of sheep. Rovitzim aleh, they're hovering over the area of the be'er. Look at me. Aleha, on her, on the bear. The plural of be'er, Thomas? Be'erot. Okay? Rovitzim aleh, ki min ha'be'er hi, that's why it's a she. Yashku hadarim, they water the flocks. Va'even gidola al pi be'er. There's a verb here in this pasuk that is not connected to a noun, a written noun. Think about it. Don't tell me the answer. I repeat. There's a verb here that's not connected to a noun. Some of you may know it. Let's keep on going. V'ne'esvu shama. The Torah in the narrative tells us what happens here. V'ne'esvu shama. Chol ha'adarim. All the flocks. V'galilu et ha'even. Did you see the reading of the Torah today from an Ashkenazi Sefer Torah? Yes or no? You didn't. You saw? Did you see an Ashkenazi reading of the Torah today? Sefer Torah? Were you the one that got Galila? What does it say in this pasuk? V'galilu et ha'even. V'galilu. To glow. What's the name of that scroll? A Megillah. A Megillah. A scroll is called a Megillah. Liglo. Okay? You've heard of the verb? Liglo. The Gabbai comes up to you. You do Hagba and you do Glila. Okay? Did you have breakfast? Can you do it? Yes? Now, Vigalilu, what they do here is they roll the Evan. Interesting. I see another verb without a particular noun. Vigalu et Evan mi'al pi haber, v'hishku et hatzon, and they water the cattle, the sheep. Another verb without a particular noun. Ve'ishivu et Evan, then they put back the Evan, another verb without a noun. Al pi haber limkoma. I'm stopping here before we go to the upcoming dialogue. This sounds like a great novel, or a good script for a film. But the Torah, give me a break. Sheep, bear, well, what is this, a love story? What are you starting to write here? What's going on? You have a further question, Mr. Ravid Ehrenstein?
I have a question about this Evan.
This Evan, yeah.
They write the Evan was very big. So how many people did they need to put the
Excellent point. It's apparent that they need a lot. Because
later on...
That's right. Good point. Now, we learned last week a be'er of water. Who was involved with the be'erot of water last week's parsha? Yitzchak Avinu. And we also said in one of our shurim that it's symbolic. Be'er mayim. We brought the Ramban. Be'er mayim. And there were 3 meetings, 2 confrontations of appeal, of hatred, and the third not. Do you remember what we said that's symbolic of, Mr. Chen? The Beit Mikdash, that's right. And 3, why were there 3 wells? What was that symbolic of? Where 2 were contested by the shepherds of Gerar.
Yes.
What was that symbolic of?
Yes, the contest of the nation against the Midrash.
The nations contesting the Beit Mikdash, where Beit Mikdash number 1 was, Beit Mikdash number 2 was, and Beit Mikdash number 3 will be parallel to the name given there, Rechovot, the widening of the area. Here, we can tap onto the same idea, that the Be'er is related to the source. A bear is a source of water, the source of spirituality, the source of vitality in the world is Torah, okay? And the Beit HaMikdash. And the fact that 3 adarim, 3 flocks are here, is what? Similar to, or parallel to? The 3 regalim, aliyah l'regel. 3 aliyah l'regel, 3 times the Jewish people are commanded to go up to the Beit HaMikdash, as it states in the Torah in several places, quote, Shalosh regalim tachog li bashana. God says 3 regalim. Why is the word regel there in lieu or instead of the word chagim, holidays, festivals? What is it coming to teach me, Ari Leib? Regalim, what do you think?
We have to ascend.
We have to ascend with our feet. You can take the train to the Jaffa Gate, but from there you walk up to the Beit HaMikdash on a bus called bus number 11.
11.
Yeah, that's 2 feet. 11 is symbolic in Israeli jargon for walking with your 2 feet. 1. Now you like it. Okay, so I'll try to be. I see this joke didn't go over well. You see, he's the only one laughing over. Okay, now, so that's why it's called Aliyah L'Regel. And that's why Chag is called Regel. So maybe here, the Ramban says the 3 flocks of sheep are hinting to the 3 festivals, the holidays upon which Israel alights, Aliyah L'Regel. And there in the Beit HaMikdash, what are you and I going to be drawing, absorbing? Torah. And Torah, spirituality, is likened to water. Okay? Via Torah and the holiness in the Beit HaMikdash, we're going to be drawing upliftment, holiness. And some of you maybe even remember, what was the name of that big party every night in the holiday of Sukkot? What was that called? Simchat Beit HaShoeva. Okay. Lishov. To draw. Why were they drawing water? I didn't ask you. Mr. Kolvin? Kolvine? Kulavine. Give me a break. It's such hard names you're giving me. Okay, would you have an answer? Why were they drawing water on the Sukkot holiday? No. Chaim Aronson, do you remember why we're drawing water on the holiday? Why is there a mitzvah in the Beit HaMikdash to draw water from the springs of the Shiloh waters? That's what it's called. What did we do with that water? Do you remember?
Yeah, you dump it on the mizbeach.
I'd like you to prefer to use a different word than dump it. First time I heard any student tell me we dump it on a mizbeach, but you're unique. That's a good. What he means is that we pour. We have a special vessel. Okay, when we walk up the ramp, the coin walks up the ramp. To the left corner are 2 apertures, 2 openings. at the corner of the Mizbech, the left-hand corner. 1 4, we do accompanying every korban pouring wine. Nisuch hayayin. And 7 days of the holiday of Sukkot called Nisuch hamayim, the pouring of water. Okay? Interesting. The drawing of the water is the mitzvah, or the drawing of the water is a means? It's only the means. It should have been said that the simcha that night is the simcha of pouring the water. That question is asked to Rav Kook. Why is the mitzvah called, or the party called Simchat Beit HaSho'eva, the house of drawing waters? It's only a means. The answer is, when Am Yisrael would be so holy and sanctifying themselves that even the means by which they do the mitzvah before the performance of the mitzvah is on such a high level, it's almost on the level of doing the mitzvah itself. The Jews, the Yerushalmi says, would be able to draw water, but also draw Ruach HaKodesh. Jewish people taking part of that party, that appearance, that great singing and dancing all night long to bringing the water, they would get on a level of divine inspiration, Ruach HaKodesh. And therefore, it's like part of the part of the matter. Let's get back to here. Shlosha edrei tzon, 3 flocks, symbolizing the 3 regalim, the Ruach HaKodesh, and here, Israel in the holidays will elevate themselves, and maybe this is a hint to Yaakov Avinu, what will be happening in the future. And as Mr. Ravid said in Pasuk Gimel, what happens usually is that when all the flocks are there, then there are people that are rolling the stone. We've studied 2 psukim that we said verbs are mentioned without the mentioning of a noun. Who knows, with the raising of his hand, which noun is omitted? I saw Thomas, he said yes. Only one? You also have to? You can whisper in my ear. Don't let me.
Him.
Who?
Him. Like the.
Who's them? Who's them? Shh, don't say that loud.
Like the.
Shh, be quiet.
Shepherd.
Shh, don't say that loud. You heard what he said?
Yeah.
Party poopers. I'm telling you. Okay. He said the shepherds are missing in the Torah. Why? They're not mentioned. It says that they're going to water. Who's they? The shepherds. Why isn't it mentioned? And it says they're going to roll the stone. Who is they? Why aren't they mentioned? Let's now go on. Pasuk Daled, a dialogue starts. How many times do you see, read down verses 4, Daled, and Hey, and Vav, and tell me in the dialogue, how many times does Yaakov speak? How many times does Yaakov speak here in this dialogue?
Only the 1 pasuk?
In all these 3 psukim, Daled, Hey, and Vav. Daled, Hey, and Vav. You see 4 times, Ariele? Daled, Hey, and Vav. He speaks 4 times or 3 times? Okay, in the beginning of the pasuk, what are the words for Yaakov speaking? Tell me the words out loud. Vayomer, Lahem Yaakov. And the second time Yaakov speaks, what does he say? Vayomer, Lahem. And the third time he speaks, Vayomer, Lahem. Something bothers you?
Who is him?
Okay, who is Lahem? And a simple answer, he's speaking to the people there by the well. What kind of people are there by the well? Ro'im, shepherds. How does he address them? Vayomer Lahem, Vayomer Lahem, Vayomer Lahem. What kind of way? What do you see in the style of speech of a Yaakov Avinu that the Torah wants to teach us this? What do you say?
He talked to he asked about the person.
He's talking to them personally. Very nice. He's showing them yachas, a proper attitude, a proper approach, a proper style of talking to them, giving them importance. Vayomer lahem, right? By the way, he's a stranger, is he not? First time he's arrived here on the scene. Okay? He speaks to them. Question number 1, Vayomer lam Yaakov, okay? He's giving a yachas ishi, a personal attention. Achai. Like they say today, hey brother, me'ayin atem? Where are you from? Why does he have the word achai?
You talk in Hebrew like that.
But there must be a reason. What are you showing? What are you expressing? Connection, friendship, love, of course. That's Yaakov Avinu. Okay? His mother never told him, don't talk to a stranger. He talks to strangers personally. Achai, my brothers. What kind of answer does he receive? Vayomru, and they said, Mecharan anachnu. What's the difference in their response as opposed to the approach of Yaakov Avinu?
Far from showing connection.
Straightforward, without what?
Love.
Without love, connection,
Friendship.
tachlis, pasuk hey, vayomer lahem, again, hayadatem et Lavan ben Nachor? Perhaps you know. Have you met? Do you know who he is? Lavan ben who? Lavan ben Nachor. Quickly, Michal Aryeh. It's Lavan ben? Beautiful. What's the answer?
Because they made a connection.
Why is he connected to his grandfather, Ben Nachor? Answer?
The house of Machon.
So what? So what?
Because the brother of Avraham Avinu.
So what?
He's a bad guy, Betuel.
Betuel is a bad guy. Nachor is probably more famous, well known.
Yes.
So maybe there's a better chance. You may know him. That's what the Radak or the Ramban says. What is their answer to Yaakov's personal question to them? Vayomru? Yadanu. Very, I don't know. Do you want to use is it the cold shoulder? Have you heard of that expression?
Yes.
Do you agree that it's like a cold shoulder? Yeah, well, so we know. So what? Get out of here, man. Question 3. Vayomer lahem. Hashalom lo? Is everything okay with him? Is he okay? Is he making a living? Does he have peace? Vayomru, what's their answer?
Shalom.
One word answer. Shalom. Tachlis, right? Is that what you're saying? No. Oh, so, my dear friends, what do you want to say, Eitan?
Look like they don't like.
Beautiful. It looks like they're not interested in this guy. This guy he's asking questions. You know, when are we going to get rid of him? And they say shalom. And now, in the narrative, v'hinei, surprise, Rachel bito. I'm now asking one particular person here, Mr. Hanan Shulman. I'm testing him right now. It says, V'nei Rachel bito. I'm going to test you. Can you read the next verb properly?
Ba'a.
He said, ba'a. Anyone contend what he's saying? Is the word ba'a or is the word ba'a? It's ba'a or is it ba'a? Hanan said it's ba'a. Why is it a correct answer? Because
Under
the cantillation sign, the tam is under the aleph. And it therefore means V'rachel bito ba'a achshav. Please turn to the next pasuk in number tet, letter pasuk tet. Odenu medaber imam. Okay, Thomas, you're going to give me the answer now. V'rachel. I can't hear so well. Ba? What about the aleph? Poor aleph doesn't get any expression.
Ba.
No, I want a better answer. Ba'a. Ba'a. Now, if you were in a yekeshul and you had some tomatoes here, and you didn't pronounce properly ba'a, which means she came. My dear friends, The Ta'amei Mikra have several roles. The cantillation signs have several roles. Number one, the Torah is a song. So for the glory of singing the Torah, by the way, the song meaning mitzvah number 613 at the end of the Torah, chapter 31 in the book of Dvarim, the Torah says, and I'm quoting, V'ata, and now, kitvu lachem et hashira hazot. Write for yourselves this song. Pshat, write the song of Ha'azinu. Midrash halacha, Sefer Chinuch brings it as mitzvah number 613. Write a Sefer Torah and teach from it. So the Torah is nicknamed Shira, a song. If it's a song, we have to know for the glory how to sing it. Role number one. Role number two, the Ta'amim help us understand the meaning of the entire pasuk. Is this a stop sign? Or is this serving on, continuing on to the next word and phrases? We have Ta'amim that are like semi-stops and full stops, and we have those that are servers. Third, the position of the Ta'am tells us which syllable to pronounce or to lavlit, how do you say? To accentuate, thank you. Which syllable, the first syllable or the last syllable? In the word lavo, to come, if you say Rachel, like in Pasuk Yetet, Ba'a, where the tam is on the bet, it means she came already. If, like in the Pasuk that we're treating now, Rachel Ba'a, it means she is coming now. Gentlemen, according to the Talmud, and the Psak Halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, if the word is pronounced incorrectly and it changes the meaning of the word, then the Gabbai, standing by the Sefer, he should correct the person reading. Okay? And we should be sensitive to that here it is a change of the meaning. We're not allowed to change the meaning. The Torah is divine. If God meant to say that right now Rachel is coming, you know what? These guys that don't want to give interest to Yaakov Avinu, you know, the fact that she's coming right now, why is that happening? What is it coming to teach us? What is it coming to teach us? Huh? Give him a tissue. What is it coming to teach us? Huh? That she walks into the picture right now, what is it teaching us? Hashgacha pratit. We see here God's supervision over this Yaakov Avinu that he's asking. He doesn't know where he's arrived to. It doesn't say this is the area of his family where Rivka Imenu lived. He arrives, speaks to strangers, he asks politely, gives them yachas. And here God is in control. It's like a puppet show. God is wheeling and dealing and moving. And she happens to walk into the picture. Okay? Eliyahu Kitov in his explanation on the Chumash says he's asking does Mr. Lavan have shalom? And now God says, here is the shalom. Rachel, the daughter, walks into the picture. Okay? He may not have shalom, but she is the shalom. You know why? Because Lavan is a rasha. He's a wicked person. Wicked people don't have shalom. But Rachel, who's a righteous young lady, she has shalom. Vayomer, the story continues. Hein oda yom gadol. There's a lot of hours left of the day. Lo eite asefa mikneh. To whom is he speaking? To whom is he speaking?
The shepherd.
They're the shepherds. Guys, this is not the time to bring the what? The sheep in, to collect them in. Hashku atzon lechu ro'u. What? A stranger? Why does he care? Didn't his mother tell him, mind your own business? What are we learning from this? Someone who's a tzaddik, a righteous person, when he sees an injustice, whether it's people he knows or people he doesn't know, he cannot tolerate it. The world has to be straightforward and yashar, with honesty and trustworthiness. And here he sees people that are hired for what? For pay, are not doing their job and bringing the sheep home early. These animals can be eating outside in the meadows for many more hours. So Yaakov Avinu is someone that cannot try, when he sees an injustice, he cannot tolerate it. He speaks up. And you would think, don't rock the boat. You're a new person, a newcomer to a new land. No. He's carrying the flag of God. Goodness, trustworthiness, honesty. Okay? So here, the Torah is teaching us the wonderful attributes of Yaakov Avinu. And he gives them an order. Hashku atzon. You can water the sheep. Ulechuru, but then go ahead and do what? Take them back out to the meadows and pasture them. They say we have a technical problem. Pasuk chet. Vayomiru lo nuchal. We can't do what you're asking us to do. What did you tell us to do? By the way, isn't this interesting? How they're listening to him? They're ready to accept. Yaakov is a man of a word. He has a word. He has power in his words. You know what? When you give someone else honor, you honor them, that attracts your attention. These people were honored by this stranger. He spoke with them 3 different times, personally, with affection, caring for them. And now he's like saying, you guys, you're doing an unjust thing to the owners. You're being paid by the hour, by the day, but you're not doing your work. It's so early in the afternoon. What are you bringing it home? Go ahead and water them. And then they say, you know what? Instead of calling him a cursed name or telling him to go turn around and go elsewhere, they're willing to comply. But they have a problem. Lo nuchal, we can't do it. Lo nuchal what? We can't roll the stone. Ad asher yesvu kol adarim. Until all the flocks are here. Again, who's missing? V'galalu. And then they will roll the stone. Who is they? Me'al pia be'er. Vishkinu atzon. Who can answer the question, the idea, perhaps why the Torah omitted the word ro'im? Does anyone have an idea? Why has the Torah omitted in several times the word ro'im before the verbs? They will roll, they will water, they will gather, and so on and so forth. Do you have an idea?
Because they don't really act like shepherds.
They don't act like shepherds. Who does act like a shepherd? The next pasuk. Odenu midaber imam. He's still speaking with them. Verachel, proper pronunciation now. Ba'a. One more time, Thomas. Ba'a. There you go. One more time. Verachel. Ba'a. Okay. Verachel ba'a. She came. Imatzona sheli avia. Excuse me. A female shepherd? Called here in the end of the pasuk what?
Shepherdess.
No, in Hebrew. What is she called? Ro'ah. As opposed to a male called? Ro'ah. Let me hear your ayin. Ro'ah. Well, there's a ro'at zone and there is a ro'at zone. Tell me, is this the beginning of women's the women feministic movements? That there are women shepherds? Have we seen women shepherds in the Chumash before, Mr. Steve? We haven't. Have we seen in one of the other Chumashim women shepherds? Mr. Binyamin ben Moshe, have we seen women shepherds in the Torah before? In another Chumash? Do you remember? Where? In regards to? Ranan, do you remember? Girl, Sarah? No. Who said Midjan over there? Your next door neighbor? Okay. How can you help us out? Move to the right or left so we can see your beautiful. No, not you. He.
The Midianites.
What about them?
They had shepherds. No.
The daughters of?
The daughters of Yitro.
Very good. The daughters of Yitro. How many are there? 7. And they were all shepherd. Ro'ot zon. So is this unusual that we see ro'ot zon here? Not really. It's not really. But you know what? Usually there are several for a flock. Do you know why the girls there in Yitro's time, why they were? Yitro tried every faith in the world until he came to monotheism. And when he came to monotheism, and he was a Kohen, he was a priest, he was a very holy individual, they, how shall we call it? They put him into cherem, they excommunicated him. What are you believing in one God? We believe in many gods. And he and his sons, he had a hard time making a living. So he had to send the sons to go make a living and this and that. And there was no other choice but the girls, that's what the Midrash says, to take care of the sheep. Now, what about Lavan? What do we say here about Lavan? Why is she a ro'atzon? Huh? Why is she a ro'atzon?
He don't have son. You don't have shepherds.
Okay.
You have a son?
We don't see any sons here. But you know what? She's doing a good job. Because the Torah says, ki ro'ah, she is a real shepherdess. As opposed to the others, they're a bunch of what? Batlanim. They're just wasting the time of the owners. We see that Yaakov is analyzing their lack of work, and maybe that's the reason that the noun ro'im is not mentioned through the entire dialogue here, because they're not really ro'im. They're just dressed up as shepherds with a stick and a nice kafiyah or this or that, but they're not doing a job. That's what Yaakov is telling them. Who is a shepherd? She. Ki ro'ahi. Do you see the emphasis? Okay. Let's go. Vayihi kasher ra'a Yaakov et Rachel bat Lavan achi imo. Vetzon Lavan achi imo. What's emphasized here? What's emphasized? Why? You're exactly right. Why achi imo is mentioned twice here. Think of Yaakov Avinu. He just left his family. Weeks of travel, coming to a new land, strange land, never been here before. And now he sees what? Family. Yaakov Avinu, can I interview you? Thank you. How do you feel now to see family? You feel good, don't you? You feel excited. So maybe the Torah is emphasizing the family. He sees family now for the first time. Wow, that's fantastic. Vayigash Yaakov, he approaches, gets near. Vayagel et ha'even. Why? He rolls the stone by himself, it means. Me'al pi ha'be'er. Vayash ketzon Lavan achi imo. Do you remember what we said at the beginning of the chapter? V'koyeh Hashem yachlifu choach. Look at the koach that Yaakov Avinu has here. He's the only one rolling the stone, a stone that's so large that probably would take plenty of people to do so. Wow, what koach he has. The fact that he's now thanking Hashem, basically, that he's seen family, he's arrived to the proper place, maybe upcoming a marriage. Remember, where have people found marriages before? Around the well of water. That's where the Eved found a marriage for Yitzchak Avinu. And now, Pasuk Yud Aleph. After watering the sheep, and again achi imo, the third time the family is mentioned, Vayishak Yaakov leRachel. Vayisa et kolo vayef. Some of you are a little embarrassed to ask me the following question. Which question?
Why are you crying?
That's nice question. Another question?
Why did you kiss?
Proper to kiss a girl.
But
Come on. You didn't learn halacha? What are you kissing a girl for? Should we skip over this, or we should answer the question? I should answer the question. Yes, Mr. Kolvine?
He was allowed to touch a woman in that time?
Good question. We're all asking good questions. First of all, this is prior to or after Har Sinai?
Prior to
It's a prior to. Okay. Vayishak. In the infinitive, it's le nashek. Interesting that neshek and le nashek are coming together. The preposition that's used with the word le nashek is what? Le nashek et. Usually the preposition is et. לנשק את אשתך, לנשק את אבא שלך, לנשק את אמא. That's the preposition et. Is that what states here? Oh, it doesn't say et? What does it say? It says le. Now I understand everything. Ibn Ezra says lנשק was not a kiss of love on the lips of Rivka. Rather, it was a cultural, a customary shake that you give on someone's hand, on someone's shoulder, or someone's neck, but not on the mouth. This was the custom. This was the tradition. Okay? Today you see it, especially in Sephardi tradition, right? Okay? What? Huh? What is that?
Is the name of
The kiss.
The kiss? We're in Europe. Okay. So we see this, especially in the northern African countries where Jewish people were, in Morocco, Algeria, Tunis, and all these places. And they brought it to France when they came in. So you see, okay? The Ashkenazim are, colder type of people, excusez-moi, whatever. And they do less kissing. And if you have an Ethiopian friend, that's even different, and you love him, then you get 3. Okay? I have an Ethiopian son-in-law. And when he comes for Shabbos, when I come to him, I give him 3, he gives me 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, right? We can do it in 2.7 seconds. I can show you later, not now. That's even special. Okay? That's the tradition. That's the culture. So, number 1, it's not something that you're going to prove to, he's fallen in love with Rachel. Rather, this is something of the culture. That's how the Ibn Ezra explains. How can we prove it that this is not promiscuity, this is not improper conduct? That right after the kiss, what does he do? Vayisa et kolo vayefk. He's crying. What is he crying out of? If it was promiscuity, he wouldn't be crying. But when the family unites, when there's happiness between the family, the joy is expressed through crying. One cries to one another. So here, it's a proof that it's not, this lust or desire to kiss other women and so on and so forth. Rather, it's family. Rav Shimshon Leferel Hirsch adds to this matter, and he says, although Rachel was a beautiful woman, he only saw a relative in her, Achi Imo, right? He knows how long Yaakov has been wandering away from his family without seeing mishpacha, without seeing a familiar face. Okay? So therefore, as you see the phrase, Achi Imo, Rachel is Bat Lavan Achi Imo. The Tzon Lavan, twice is mentioned Achi Imo. In other words, when he looks at Rachel, what is he picturing? His mother. He's the picture of his mother. That's bringing him to tears. Family. Do you see that? Achi imo, achi imo, achi imo. So we should be able to understand and answer your very good question, that even though Yaakov, of course, kept the laws of modesty, of this and that, but the fact that he kisses her is out of something cultural. And number 2, the fact that he cried after kissing Rachel, there's no matter that this is flirting around with women, but rather it's affection for the family, for the mishpacha. Okay. Rashi brings a different understanding why he cried. Gentlemen, did you see it? Rashi says that Yaakov cried because he was saddened that what doesn't he have in his pocket or in his purse? He doesn't have in his possession any rings nor bracelets to give Rachel, like who gave to who? The Eved Eliezer gave to Rivka, his mother. And therefore, he felt saddened. Maybe this is the shidduch, and what happened to his bank account? What happened to his purse? Uh-oh. Did you see the police report the other day?
Esav sent his son. It's the Midrash.
I want to share with you something amazing. The famous Midrash tells us that the son of Esav, called Eliphaz, was sent out to kill Yaakov Avinu. And when Yaakov Avinu was, okay, put your hands up. When he was what? When he was detained, I know the proper word. And he said to Yaakov, outsmarted, outwitted Eliphaz, says, look, I got to live. No, I have to kill you. My father has to, I got to live. Look, I'll give you all what I have. And he had a lot of wealth. And you should know that an impoverished person is equal to a dead person. So look, why don't you get 2 for 1? It's a sale today. You'll be killing me by taking my money away. So Gam killing me, getting my money. It's your best win. Eliphaz was convinced. All Yaakov now is traveling is just, he only has his stick, his staff. There's a famous midrash, for those that Hebrew is good, I have to read it for you right now, that if I look at the first pasuk of the Parsha, each letter is hidden in this midrash is hidden in the first pasuk. I'm reading a word for each letter of the first pasuk of the Parsha Vayeitzei Yaakov. V'yatza Yaakov tzaddik az. Then he left as a righteous person. I'm sorry. V'yatza Yaakov tzaddik. The letter Aleph. Az yilel Esav. Then Esav cried out. Kol bechi. Kuf bet of Yaakov. A voice of crying out. Now, mi Beersheva, mem. Miyad ba Eliphaz. Miyad ba Eliphaz Rasha. Eliphaz the wicked. Now the word Vayelech Shava. I'm sorry. Shehu ben Esav. Shin bet ayin. He's the son of Esav. Vayelech. Vayitein Yaakov lo kol chafatzav. Vayelechet. He gave him all his objects. Reish nun hey. Rak nishar hamakel. So the abduction, the mugging of Yaakov Avinu by his nephew Eliphaz is hinted to in this pasuk. This is told to me, I won't forget, it's told to me on a Shabbos night about 39 years ago. It was a Shabbos night. It was pouring out. Parshat Vayeitzei. I was in Beit El. This is the parsha of reading of going to Beit El. And there was a Karlin Chassid. If you've heard of the Chassidut Stolen Karlin, they have a very interesting approach. When they pray, they scream out at the top of their lungs. And he was living in one of the settlements, with us, and he was a Rabbi, a teacher in the school, and he was a Chassid, but he wanted to live amongst the national religious people. And he told me this midrash on Shabbos night, and I remember he was a chazan that night. I think the windows almost broke. He was screaming on the top of his lungs. It was amazing, the way he prayed as the chazan. Then I went over to him on Motzei Shabbat. He had to tell me again. I was able to write it I penciled it in my chumash. So this midrash is hinted to here in the first matter. Gentlemen, let's go on. Pasuk Yud Bet, verse 12. Vayageh Yaakov l'Rachel, he now tells her, Ki achi avihu. He's the brother of her Abba, meaning a relative. Okay, doesn't have to mean namely Bemet, the brother of the father. V'chiven Rivka. He's of course the son of Rivka. What does she do? Vatarotz vataged li'aviyah. She's running home to tell who? You would have thought you would tell the mother, but Rashi says in the name of Chazal that what happened? Okay. Vayichish shmo Lavan et shema Yaakov ben achoto. Wow. Lavan hears who's arrived, the son of his sister, Yaakov ben Rivka. Vayarotz likrato. Wow, what enthusiasm. He runs towards him. Vayichabek lo, he hugs him. Vayinashek lo, and he kisses him. Wow. Do you see the word vayinashek lo, the lamed again? It's cultural. That was the tradition of what people would do. Why is he so excited? Lavan knows what happened a few decades ago, that the family became very rich. Because Eliezer brought a lot of wealth of 10 camels. Okay, almost everything except for Fort Knox, I think, right? Everything was there, and the family became very wealthy. So Lavan says, wow, here's another opportunity to become very wealthy. Vayivieu Beito brings him home, Vayisaper Lavan. Yaakov tells the story to Lavan, it called Hadvarim Ha'ela, meaning that he was sent by his Abba and his Ima to his family to look for a shidduch. Vayomer lo Lavan, Ach atzmi uvesari. Look, but you are myself, my own, and my flesh. What does this mean? You're my flesh and you're myself. There are those that explain it. There are several ways of explaining this term, but there are those that explain it. I saw by my father-in-law also. It's a very dry type of, invitation here. Why? Because he really wants him only to be here for a short time. Maybe that's really the intention of Rashi. Now I have reason to bring you home. I didn't have reason beforehand because you don't have anything. He's like, according to our regular customs, I don't have to do anything good to you because you came moneyless. You came without gifts. How do you like that? A host telling you, you don't deserve to be in my house whatsoever because you didn't give me anything. It's a very dry type of invitation, isn't it? But you know what? I'll do you a favor. I'll take care of you for a month. What happened? A moment ago, Lavan was full of energy, enthusiasm, running to him, hugging and kissing him. And now, he's like giving him the cold shoulder. What happened to him, my friends? You see what Lavan is interested in? As the Mefarshim say, Chizkuni says it, he came empty-handed. I'm not interested in you. Do you see the difference in hosting people? The house of Avram Avinu, as opposed to the house of Lavan. Really, people are interested in order to get. They don't want to give. Okay? Those that spend time in Kiryat Arba and Chavron on Shabbat and Chayei Sarah, you saw, wow, what is giving, hosting and providing and watering and feeding. And wow, that's really what the Jewish people are like. Chesed, doing things, loving to give. Okay? I remember one of the things that very much had an impression on me when I was a youngster here in Israel, in my first years in Israel. I would call up my relatives like third or fourth cousins. These are Holocaust survivors, first cousins of my grandmother. Okay? I don't know what to even call it. A cousin, second remove, third remove. And I was in yeshiva, and I would call, hoping maybe he'll give me an invitation to come for Shabbos, And I was embarrassed even to ask. When Americans are embarrassed sometimes, you know that? So I'd call up, and I would say, Shalom, medaber Menachem. And before they would say, Menachem, oh, Yofi, the first thing she would say, when are you coming over? The warmth, the generosity, the willing to give. That really bought me. Because in America, if you want to go visit a relative, you should have to set a time, a day, a few days in advance, a week. You've seen this before, that behavior. I'm telling you, these Ashkenazim, we're on live TV. No, there are plenty of warm Ashkenazim, but it's always so different. The warmth, the willing to give, the love was amazing. Here, Lavan is not interested in it. Vayomer Lavan liYaakov, pasuk Tedvav. Lavan tells Yaakov, Hachi achi ata? What do you think now that you're like, you're my brother, and therefore you're not going to get a salary? Vavaretani chinam? Hagidali, ma maskutecha? Tell me, what is what? Your salary. I want to pay for you. And now, in the narrative, the Torah tells us, Ulelavan shtei vanot. Shema gedola Leah, v'shema ktana Rachel. There's a very powerful midrash on this pasuk. We should have to know it already, I think, right now. Ulelavan shtei vanot. Can you form a verb out of the noun banot? A verb, which one? Livnot. Thank you. Very good. Livnot, to build. It's not by mere incident that the word banot, 2 daughters, come from the word also binyan. There's a similar or a common idea. The future of the house of Yaakov Avinu will indeed be built by 2 women. 2 women, Rachel and Leah. And as we're about to learn the qualities of Rachel and the difference between that and Leah, that will be the role of the sons of them. That's called by King David, Shiftei Yah. The name, Yud, and then Hey, is part of God's name. Shiftei, Yud, and then Hey. Ken, you know what I'm talking about? No? Yes? Okay. What are the first 2 letters of God's name? Yud, and then Hey. So too the tribes are nicknamed by King David in Tehillim, Shiftei Yah, the tribes of God. The relationships that we're about to learn, the children that will be born, as we're about to learn tomorrow and the next day, for the first time, everyone that will be born will be a superstar. All righteous, all holy. Until now, in the house of Avraham, we saw 2 different types of individuals, a tzaddik and a rasha, Yitzchak and Yishmael. So too in the house of Yitzchak, we see a Yaakov and an Esav. But now, the first time, at the bottom of this tripod, the 3 feet, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, everyone coming out of Yaakov will be holy, righteous, super connected to God. And therefore they're going to be called the tribes of God. And these 2 women that grew up in a terrible area, from a terrible family, their neshamot are so special, are so holy, their traits are so special, and they know about Yitzchak Avinu, their mother, their aunt, Rivka was married to Yitzchak, and they know about Avram Avinu, he's famous. This is the same area, not far from here, where Avram was thrown into the furnace and came out alive. And for that, the kings got together in the Persian Gulf, and they migrated all the way to the Jordan Valley, Dead Sea area, to fight a war in order to get Lot, in order to get Avram Avinu. So this is history everyone knows. And he's arrived, Yaakov Avinu, wow. And he's about to be interested in 1 woman, and that'll be Rachel. We'll talk about that tomorrow. What is unique about Rachel and how is she different than Leah? And we'll continue with this point tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem. Have a great day. Chazak ve'ematz. There's still slots open.